Welcome back, NCIS fans. If you rewind the clock back to 2003, when we first met Special Agent Anthony DiNozzo, it was easy to underestimate him. He was the frat boy with a badge, the guy more interested in his expensive Italian loafers and last night's date than the case file in front of him. For the first few seasons of NCIS, Tony played the role of the class clown to perfection. He was the king of the bullpen banter, the master of the movie reference, and the recipient of countless head slaps from Gibbs. To the casual viewer, Tony was the comedic relief, the guy you counted on for a laugh when the bodies started piling up. But for the diehard fans who have been watching for 20 years, we know that the comedy was never just comedy. It was a shield. Today, we are starting a deep dive journey into the evolution of Tony DiNozzo, analyzing how the man who once glued McGee's fingers to a keyboard became the fierce, protective father we see in the trailers for the new spin-off. Before we get to Tali in Paris, we have to understand where he started and why that class clown persona was the most sophisticated undercover operation he ever pulled. In the early years, specifically seasons 1 through 4, Tony's behavior was textbook deflection. We learned very quickly that Tony came from money, but he didn't come from love. His relationship with his father, Senior, was defined by neglect and abandonment. Psychologically, Tony became the class clown because if people are laughing with you, they aren't looking too closely at you. He wore his humor like Kevlar. Whether he was hazing Proby McGee or flirting with every woman who walked into the Navy Yard, it was a desperate attempt to find the attention he never got as a child. He desperately wanted Gibbs' approval because Gibbs was the father figure he never had. Every time he made a joke, he was testing the boundaries of that love. He was the unruly teenager acting out, just to see if his dad would still keep him around. And Gibbs, in his own silent, stoic way, always did. This dynamic was crucial because it established that underneath the immaturity, Tony was fiercely loyal. He would take a bullet for his team, even if he mocked them 5 minutes earlier. However, the writers didn't let Tony stay one-dimensional for long. The first real crack in the clown facade happened in Season 2, in the episode SWAK, when Tony opened that letter and contracted the pneumonic plague. For the first time, we saw a Tony who was vulnerable, scared, and stripped of his usual defenses. But the true turning point, the moment the boy began to die and the man began to wake up, was the Jean Benoit storyline in Season 4. This was the first time we saw Tony fall deeply in love while under deep cover. It was a tragic, messy, and heartbreaking arc that forced Tony to choose between his duty and his heart. When that relationship imploded, the playboy mask slipped completely. We saw a man capable of profound guilt and deep sorrow. He wasn't just chasing skirts anymore. He was chasing a connection that felt real. This was the era where the audience stopped laughing at Tony and started hurting for him. It was the necessary pain that would eventually prepare him for Ziva. Then came Ziva David. If Gibbs was the father figure, Ziva was the mirror. When she joined the team, she didn't buy into Tony's nonsense. She challenged him physically, intellectually, and emotionally. The evolution of Tony DiNozzo is impossible to separate from the influence of Ziva. In the early Tiva years, we watched a slow, burning transformation. The juvenile pranks started to dwindle, replaced by a protective instinct that went beyond standard protocol. He stopped looking at women as conquests and started looking at Ziva as an equal, and eventually as something more. There is a specific shift in Season 7 and Season 8 where Tony becomes less concerned with being the cool guy and more concerned with being the dependable guy. He realized that to be worthy of a woman as lethal and complex as Ziva, he had to grow up. He had to stop being the frat boy and start being the man who could hold her hair back when she was sick or fly to Somalia on a suicide mission just to bring her home. This wasn't the class clown anymore. This was a warrior in love.